A few centuries ago in Ireland, there was a drunkard named Stingy Jack, known throughout the land as a deceiver, manipulator, and the lowest dregs of society. One night, Satan, having heard of Jack's vile deeds, was not convinced about the rumors. So, Satan went out himself to see whether or not Jack lived up to his reputation. One night, as was typical night for Jack, he was drunk and wandering all around the country at night when he found a corpse on a cobblestone path. The corpse had an eerie grin on its face, much like the Joker, and upon kicking it, found out he was Satan himself. Jack, figuring this was the end for him, knew that Satan had come to collect his soul. So he made one last request, asking Satan to let him drink before he departed for hell. Satan didn't find any reason to deny him the request, and took him to a pub, bought him a drink. But then, Jack, even drunk, was very tricky, and asked Satan to pay the tab for him. By turning himself, Thereby, since he didn't have any money, he convinced Satan into turning himself into a silver coin to pay the bartender. So, Satan, having been impressed by Jack's trickiness, agreed. So, as soon as he turned into a coin, Jack stuck him in his pocket, which also contained a cross. And the cross kept Satan from turning back into his true form, thereby coercing him to agree to his demand. In exchange for his freedom, he had to spare Jack's soul for over a decade. So, 10 years later, Jack found himself once more approached by Satan, in the same setting as before. He figured it was time for him to go to hell for good, but just before Satan took him to hell, Jack asked if he could have an apple from a nearby tree as a snack from the way. And so, Satan agreed, climbed the tree to get the apple, but then Jack painted a cross on the base of the tree, trapping him up on the top of the tree for good. So, as you can imagine, Satan was pretty stacked off at that and demanded Jack release him. So, Jack made a deal with him, saying he'd let him down from the tree if his soul would never be taken to hell. So, reluctantly, Satan agreed and let him go. Eventually, Jack died, most likely of cirrhosis. But, as his soul was about to enter heaven, he was stopped because God said that his sinful lifestyle of drinking, deceitfulness, and just overall being a jerk made it so he wasn't allowed into heaven. So, since he had no other option, he went down to hell and asked for admission, but because of his deal with Satan, he couldn't go there either. He was sunk either way. So, to warn others, Satan gave Jack an ember to make him a denizen of the underworld. So from that day on till the end of eternity, Jack is doomed to roam the world with only an ember inside a hollowed-out turnip. Although here in America, these days it's mostly a pumpkin to light his way. So that is the story of Stingy Jack, the pumpkin, or as you may know him, the Jack-o'-lantern. So, be warned though, do not make a deal with the devil, because if you do, this might end up